Now with that, I would like to introduce my friends, Julie Beyer, who I taught with at Winneconne. She was an English teacher, and her husband, Gary Beyer, who was an accountant, and they were good friends of Rick and I. We've done things together, and he knew Rick very well, and Julie did too. And Gary has IBM. Does anybody know what that is? Inclusive body myositis? Myositis. Now, do you know what that is? I didn't either. It's a very, very rare form of muscular dystrophy. And he's going to tell us how God has worked in his life with this horrible, bad day disease that he has.
Thank you very much, Sheila. It really is a pleasure being here today. This was an honor when Sheila was nice enough to ask if I'd be interested in doing a presentation to the congregation here. Meant a lot to me. Today is actually my 144th presentation around about a 100-mile radius of Oshkosh, where Julie and I live, since March 6th of 2014. I was actually born and raised about a mile from here, at a house over on Green Bay Road. Anybody familiar with Neenah knows where Green Bay Road is? I actually went to grade school the first 3 years at Tuller. We're on Tuller Road. Obviously, Tuller is right over here. So I'm very familiar with this area. I was actually born on June 21st of 1953, so I'm 63 years old. The reason I bring that up is people who know June 21st is considered the first day of summer or the longest day of the year. Well, the year I was born, I was actually born on Father's Day, so it was kind of interesting. And what made it all the more interesting is my father, Clarence, they called him Clary, was actually 47 when I was born. My mother, Grace, was 41. So is there any one of you who thinks I might have been a surprise? I get that reaction 100% of the time. It really was a surprise, needless to say, and you can imagine coming into the world at that time. I had one brother. His name was Doug. Doug passed away 10 years ago as of September 22nd. I can't believe it. He was actually 76 when he passed away and had cirrhosis of the liver. He was not a big drinker by any means. A combination of this medicine, that medicine, whatever, hit his body, and he was not a candidate for a liver transplant at that time. And my dad actually had colon cancer. If anybody's familiar with something called a colostomy, it's a bag on the side. The last 2 years my dad went to work. He went to every day with that colostomy. And I really don't remember him complaining much about that. My mother, her name was Grace. After that beautiful song, Amazing Grace, talk about fitting her, she was a caregiver. I saw this growing up. It was kind of amazing watching my parents, because I come from a very small family. I would have had a sister. She died in 1932, well before I was born. She died of pneumonia, only lived about 2.5 months. And I was told it was really hard on my mom, as you can imagine. Lost a child. Very difficult stuff. But it was kind of funny how things all happen in life. You'll find I don't believe in coincidences. I've written 2 books. My second book got nationally released on August 2nd. I'm extremely proud of that. The messages that I learned from my parents in the first book, You Must Answer This. Incredible story how I met one of the stories in there, how I met my awesome wife, Julie. Julie and I celebrated our 28th wedding anniversary, October 1st. She's my best friend, and she's also become my caregiver. Julie taught at Winneconne High School with Sheila. As she said, they got to be very good friends. Julie was there almost 35 years, teaching high school students, and that's the toughest professions out there, being a teacher. There's one other profession, however, though, that I think, not a profession maybe, but something that's come into play that I've seen firsthand is being a caregiver. I'm sure many of you are caregivers. You probably don't see yourselves that way, because a lot of caregivers don't. They don't see themselves in positions where maybe they're taking a friend or a family member to church, maybe taking them out to eat, taking them into a doctor's appointment, let alone obvious helping them up. There's a lot of, you look at me, I look very healthy. The first chapter in my second book is called You Look Good. I hear it all the time. People say, Gare, you look good. And I appreciate the heck out of that, needless to say. I'm very thankful for that. But like many people who are dealing with things which aren't very visible, the subtitle of my second book is called Living with a Seemingly Invisible, Progressively Debilitating Disease. I was diagnosed with this thing called inclusion body myositis, which is quite the mouthful. Don't feel bad. Everywhere I go, I don't see hands raised when somebody says, "You ever heard of IBM?" Well, it's a stock, I think. You used to own some of that stock. It was a computer, wasn't it? Well, yeah, that too. But please don't feel bad. You've probably never heard of myositis either. Myositis is a generic term for a muscle disease. There's 4 main types. The one I have, there is no treatment or cure for. I was diagnosed after a muscle biopsy, a thigh muscle biopsy in January of 2008. And all I've been told ever since was no treatment, no cure, debilitating, progressive, you won't be able to swallow. I'm starting to have some of that now. You'll be in a wheelchair very soon. But you know what? As Sheila said, I do not give up. I am someone who has a very, very strong faith. I have had all my life, but like this gentleman over here, when I started writing the first book, and I didn't hear a voice, but it was definitely a clear message that I received. I'll never forget it. I sleep in a hydraulic lift chair because I could not get up like you're sitting. That's why I'm sitting in a higher. We always take that along with me. It hits your quad muscles really bad, which are these top muscles here that people need to get up. If you look at me without my shirt and a short sleeve shirt, I look like I was in a concentration camp. Because what happens is the muscles break down, and with this, enzymes within the muscles actually literally break down. I'm dropping things all the time. I could go on and on with things I can't do anymore. But I don't think that way. The message I give when we go to people is something I feel very spiritually driven to do. We don't charge for presentations that we do. We spoke at nursing homes. I say we because my wife speaks with me, being an awesome speaker herself, but being a caregiver and best friend and wife, she's seen firsthand what a lot of people don't see. Lives with it, and she's tremendous. She helps me in so many ways right now that I could never thank her enough. I'm cracked up today because the song really touched me. Second one, let my life praise thee, O Lord. That's the way I feel. Couldn't have hit home because I don't believe in coincidences. It really hit me. I had some tears for those who saw. But that is the way I feel. I feel very driven to be doing what I'm doing. I consider this an honor. The message I give is to people who are dealing with difficult things in their life, it doesn't matter if it's a illness, sickness, financial reason, family reason. There's all kinds of reasons for stress, aren't there? We all know it. I'm not a comparative person. I don't go around and say, oh, this condition is worse than your condition, is worse than this condition. That is not the way I feel. It is something, we all go through things in our life, don't we? And whatever that is, it's pretty real to us, isn't it? And you don't minimize people by saying, well, yours isn't as bad as this. Because that's just not my belief at all. I feel totally honored, and I know Julie does too, to be here with you today. And the message, like I said, as much as anything that I want to present, is don't give up. Don't give up. How many times have we heard somebody say, oh, you've got something with no treatment, no cure, debilitating, da-da-da-da-da. And something by the grace of God happens to change our attitudes or feelings. I've had my doctor, I see a rheumatologist, I'll be seeing him shortly. I see him about every 9 months. The last time I seen him, Julie was in with me. Gary, I want to tell you something. He said, please don't take it the wrong way. He said, but people are given different things in their life. And some are tough, some are easier to deal with, whatever, but the way you've dealt with this and reaching out to other people, he said, it's wonderful. I had tears. I couldn't stop crying there. I don't usually lose it like this. I apologize for that. It's an honor to do this. I do feel driven. We shut down now between December 1st and the end of March because my balance isn't very good anymore. I love Wisconsin. Like I said, born and raised here. But we can't risk ice, breakouts or whatever. So like last year, we literally shut it down. But this is, like I said, this is such an honor. I tell people all the time, I learned a lesson from my father. It's probably the most simple, the golden rule, as they always say, treat other people how? Like to be treated yourself. Is that really that hard to do? I don't think it is. But I think sometimes we forget we live in a world with other people. We have all of our needs, and we like things to go a certain way, whether it be the election we just got through or whatever. But life goes on, doesn't it? If we let it go on, it's up to us to find the way. I say to people all the time, happiness, when Julie and I had first met, and she said, what do you want out of life? She'll tell you that I'm not lying. I want to be happy. What does that sound simple? I want to be happy. Well, of course we all want to be happy. Well, it's not as simple. It's a matter of what you're looking for in life and what's really important to you. By a wood line. I used to feel guilty standing by the back kitchen window. Julie feeds the birds every day, has for years. I'd stand and watch the birds for a while, and I'd feel, oh boy, I should be doing something else. I don't feel that way anymore. Many a time in the morning I'll get up. I may stand there for 15 minutes. I don't know. I don't plan it. Because I love watching things like that. I always say you need to find what brings you joy. What a neat word joy is, isn't it? I mean, happy is a good word. How about joy? Who knows what really brings you joy? You do, don't you? You ever have times when you're alone and maybe something's going through your mind? Maybe it's difficult. I have it at night a lot of times, quietly, or at different times. You reach back and you find what brings you joy. I kid sometimes. I said, even a chocolate chip cookie once in a while tastes pretty good, doesn't it? Whatever that is. Maybe it's visiting with friends. I know myself, I'm blessed to have a handful of friends who I call them golden friends, who have shown me their friendship. They help us all the time. They may call, hey, Gare, how you doing? You want to meet out for lunch somewhere? A lot of places have higher seating now if we don't take that along. I don't care what it is, visiting with a friend, reading a book, listening to a song, watching a favorite movie. It really doesn't matter. Taking a walk, but looking at the sunshine outside in this beautiful day. There's a lady who has this condition who I lost as a friend about 4 months ago now. I quote her in the back of my second book. Her name is Dagmar Slavin. Dagmar wasn't doing very well with the condition. I talked to her on the phone. You know what she'd always say? Yeah, there's a lot of grieving associated with this condition. Things change. It's happening with me. Something I could do 2 months ago, I all of a sudden can't do anymore. And I'm cautious. I learn. But you know what she said? I wake up every day, and I'm thankful for what I still can do, not what I can't do. And that's the way I look at it. I feel very blessed. Sure, dealing with some tough stuff, but we all deal with stuff, don't we? Somewhere, sometime. It's how you handle it. People say to me, Gary, how do you stay so positive all the time? You know how I answer that? I'm human. I don't. I think Julie would tell you, most of the time I am. It means a lot to me. Like I said, I've been a glass half full person since I was a little kid. It hasn't changed. But you have choices in life, don't you? One of the things we have a choice on is our attitude. It is. Guess who has that choice? Us. I always tell people it's okay to cry once in a while. People, oh, it's a sign of weakness. No, it's not. I get upset. Somebody gets upset once in a while. You shouldn't get upset. I disagree. I think there's times you should get upset. You know what the key is? You have to find your way back. Don't let it last a long time. It's not only not fair to yourself, it's not fair to the other people around you. Find a way. Bring it back. Like I said, whatever that takes. Negativity is not an option, and I really don't like the other one called apathy. A lot of people say, oh, I don't care one way or the other, and that's okay in some things, but boy, I'll tell you, life is neat. By the grace of God, we are so thankful for the things we have. Sit there and woe is me and sit in the corner and feel sorry for ourselves? No, that's not the way I feel. And like I said, that's an honor. Pleasure if anybody later on wants to stop up and say hi, please do. With the presentations we've done, I remember a lot of first names, faces. One of the things that Julie would confirm by doing this, we keep meeting incredible people. Thing is, we may be a little more boring for the news media because we're not bullies. Typically, we don't start fires. We're not trying to out here, so maybe we're a little more boring, but you know what? I still believe in my heart the vast majority of people, they want to help other people. They wish the best for other people. They don't wish for people to fail or wish bad things. That's really all I have. But again, it's an honor, Sheila. Thank you for asking us to be here today. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for your encouraging words and your attitude and your praises to God, because with God, we can get through it all. So let's stand and